Welcome back to Banjo Strings and Drinking Gourds, How American Culture Came to Be, the podcast of the Frontier Culture Museum of Virginia. In this episode, we're continuing with our Women's History series. Makayla brings us a day in the life of a woman of the mid-19th century.
I rise before my husband to start my day. As I'm in the family way, it is getting more difficult crawling in and out of bed. I wash my face, eyes, teeth, and hands in a small white basin, scrubbing my skin thoroughly with a hard brush. The American Frugal Housewife advises not to sleep with your hair in braids or frizzled, so I sleep with my hair down. In the mornings, I pull my hair into a tight low bun, parted down the middle. Eli stirs and rises from the bed. Instead of washing, he walks out the door to care for the cows, while I head to the kitchen. The fire was banked the night before, so I uncover the gray ashes to reveal the hot, glowing coals underneath. These coals only need a little air to get going. I prepare the simplest breakfast: coffee, cold cuts, and bread with butter. I pride myself on first-rate coffee, so I roast and grind the beans every morning. I pour the coffee powder into a pot with hot boiling water. Sometimes I take crushed eggshells and place them in the pot to settle the coffee. I am very particular about my coffee, as it is something I feel I cannot live without. Some mornings, if I feel more ambitious, I might prepare bacon on the spider skillet and waffles using the waffle iron. I love a hearty breakfast, as does my family, but I know these breakfasts are starting to fade from fashion. I hear talk of bland cereals invented by a man named Kellogg, but I do not believe they will catch on. I hear the children come down the stairs for their breakfast. David, William, and John assist Eli with the cows while Fanny collects eggs. After Fanny collects the eggs, we will soak them in lime water to preserve them for the cooler months ahead. We have to get the ratio just right, otherwise the lime will eat away at the shell. Eli and the children come in from their chores, ready for their breakfast. I pour coffee for Eli and myself and milk for the children. As they sit, William complains of an earache. I remember that my mother had taught me to soothe an earache with cotton wool soaked in sweet oil and a tincture of opium. I do not have any opium tinctures on hand, but I do have cotton wool and sweet oil. Hopefully it will make his ear feel better, despite the lack of opium tincture. If William's ear was to get worse, I would be practical and send for a physician. I do not adhere to any quacks or quack medicines. What my mother taught me is good enough to help my family, and what I cannot help, a physician surely can. After breakfast, William, David, and John follow their father to the fields for the day. We grow wheat, primarily, but we also grow corn to feed both ourselves and our livestock. If the wheat crop fails this year, Eli will plant buckwheat. Buckwheat brings a lower price at the market, but it often fetches enough money to help us through the winter. Fanny and I clear the breakfast table and we begin our lessons. I know many do not approve of the education of women, but I believe Fanny deserves a proper education. I think a real love of reading is the greatest blessing education can bestow, particularly upon a woman. The habit of taking turns to read interesting books aloud while the others are at work is an excellent plan. Some days I send her to the schoolhouse for lessons, but the teacher has been away visiting relatives for several weeks. As a mother, nevertheless, it is my duty to educate my children on etiquette, morals, and biblical teachings. Perhaps I shall one day write a self-help book for other mothers in need of guidance. Recently, I purchased at the general store a copy of Robinson Crusoe and a mathematics reader from Fanny. While perusing the mathematics reader, we stumbled upon a name: Isaac Newton. Fanny and I both feel Newton would make for an appealing name for the baby. Eli prefers the name Thomas after his father, but while he believes himself to be the head of the household, I am of the opinion that a woman is made to supply, in some measure, the defects in her husband's character, thus making him a more perfect man than otherwise he would be. But I hold also that the same duty is required of the husband toward the wife, and with the same view and end, and in that same respect, the husband has little, if indeed any, superiority. While Fanny finishes her lessons, I write down the expenses of the week. It is wise to keep an exact account of all you spend, even a paper of pins. It makes one more careful about spending and also giving Eli an idea of how much money the household lives on. Frugality is certainly an excellent trait for any housewife, myself included. The true economy of housekeeping is simply the art of gathering up all the fragments so that nothing is lost. Nothing should be thrown away so long as it is possible to make any use of it. I especially keep the backs of envelopes for small lists or short letters to neighbors to save on spending on paper. After lessons, Fanny and I prepare for washing tomorrow. Washing is the great domestic dread of the household. We collect all of the soiled clothing in the house and soak it in large tubs of warm water. Tomorrow, we will scrub and stir the laundry with hot water and lye soap. After rinsing the clothes, we will hang them to dry, and then we will use hot irons to press them. While the laundry is being done, Fanny and I will open the bedroom doors and windows to allow air to circulate throughout the room. Fresh air is imperative to a healthy lifestyle, but only during the day. At night, you should not sleep in a heated room or in a room with a window open. Eli worries about me working in my current condition, so I allow Fanny to do most of the heavy lifting. When the baby arrives, Eli will go to the church and request to rent an enslaved girl. The church usually allows for a month contract. The enslaved girl will care for the household, cleaning and cooking, while I recover from birth. After a full day in the fields, Eli and the boys come back in. Fanny and I prepare a large meal of boiled potatoes, beet tops, and fried pig's liver. When dinner is cleared and before the sun sets, Fanny and I pull a few weeds in the garden and harvest some more beets and carrots. We then go into the hall where the boys are tuning their instruments. William and Eli play the fiddle, and David and John play the jaw harp. These times are some of the best times. Sometimes Fanny will have a male friend over to join in our evening festivities. Every effort should be made to make home as pleasant as possible. Music has a cheerful influence over our family. We unite in singing. It produces such a lovely feeling before we retire to rest. My day ends with kissing each of my babes on top of the head before they tread up the stairs to their beds. A mother's work is never done.